I'm finding that shooting a video in my own backyard is much more complicated than doing it in the classroom. This is now my third attempt. So let me go through this once again. Um, I am in the process of rebuilding my wood patios. The wood patios have been deteriorating over the years. Built them about 25 or so years ago. They held up very nicely and I liked them very much, but the landscape timber foundation was rotting away. So I realized I had to do something. So over a period of several years now, and now I finally kicked it into high gear this year, I've been replacing the wood patios with block and brick. So let me show you how geometry works in real life. So here's the project from several years ago, with my little fountain that I rebuilt just this year. It's working very nicely. It'll look much better when there are some flowers and things growing up around it. But here you see the problem. These things used to be landscape timbers. Look at that thing. There is just not much left of it. This one's my favorite here. That used to be a landscape timber. Yeah. So you can see what the problem was. So I've been ripping that stuff out, and eventually all this wood will be gone. It'll all be replaced with brick, and it will look something like what I did last summer, which is over here. So, my problem was, well, last year I made sure that this part of the wall here was quite straight and parallel to the house. That's important because if it's not parallel to the house, then when you lay the bricks, they're not going to come out right. Everything's going to be all messed up if it's not truly parallel to the house. So that was important. I worked hard to make sure that was parallel. That was last summer. Then, over here, I had to make sure, for the same reason, that this was parallel to this. That's pretty easy. All you have to do is measure across here and measure across here and make sure that those two are equal. If those are equal, then you know that these two lines are parallel. Ta-da! Works well. Now, the more complicated problem came up with this corner. I can't use the fence to line anything up because I know for sure that that fence is not straight. I could show you a view from up on the hill there, looking down the edge of the fence, and you would see, whoa, what happened to that? It is not straight. So I can't count on that to help me out. So I had to make sure that this wall here, which will eventually go all the way to the shed, is truly perpendicular to this wall here. So I put a line in, a string, attached it to a nail here, and attached it to a nail on the shed, which you can barely sort of maybe see there. And I got it to the point where I was pretty sure it was perpendicular, but I couldn't be certain. So to make sure, I used the Pythagorean theorem. I measured the distance from here to the edge of the patio there. Then I marked that spot, and I measured from there to some convenient position over here and marked that spot. Then I hooked up to the nail once again and measured from that same nail, there we go, over to this spot, wrote down all my measurements, and then I used the Pythagorean theorem. What measurements did I use? The numbers were, a few minutes ago I knew what they were. The distance along the wall here was 40 inches. I was able to choose that myself. The other one, the hypotenuse was 79.5, I believe. And I think the other distance was 58.5. If those numbers are correct, you should be able to use a squared plus b squared equals c squared, and you should be able to tell me how close I was to being a right angle. I would not expect perfection, but if it's really, really close, then, well, for what I'm doing here, that's good enough. Then the remaining bit of geometry, I had to also make sure that this wall was parallel to this wall, or if not, then all of my bricks were going to get all out of whack as I built the patio here. So I simply measured from here to the wall and from here to the wall, made sure they were equal, turned out to be 103.5 inches on both ends, and then I laid a string from here to there and built the wall, and everything came out very nicely. So now I know that this wall is perpendicular to that wall. I know that this wall is parallel to that wall. I also used my carpenter's square, which works nicely over small distances. I used my carpenter's square to make sure that by laying it here along the string, I haven't actually done this since I finished the wall. If I lay this lined up with the string and then see how close it comes to being in line with the new wall, and that's not bad there, not quite lined up perfectly, and there, look at that, came out very well, came out very well. Why not use that in the first place? Because the carpenter's square works well over small distances, but over large distances, a very small error that I would make, because I'm human, with the carpenter's square will magnify to a much larger error when you get farther away from the corner. So there you have a little bit of geometry in real life. Oh, just in case you're wondering, what in the world is this curved thing for? The patio is going to be 2 levels. Up here we'll have the upper level, which will be level with this, and then it'll drop down about what? About 8 inches or so. It'll drop down to a lower level here, and that's the reason. Then the little elevated flower box here, the final patio level will be down here, not up there, but down here. And that's that. So there you have it. Geometry in real life. See you later. Bye.